Oh, he should be your PR. He really should be.
I guess this is probably about as organized as we're going to get. Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me? Okay. I'm Brent Blaine and I run Tender-Mercies, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. This is truly an historic event for Tender-Mercies. This new project of Harkavy Hall renovation represents the single largest financial commitment this agency has ever made. Not only will it bring the building up to current city code standards, but it also will bring the building up to the standards being set by 3CDC and all the other developers that are changing the over-the-Rhine landscape. This renovated building will also remind us on a continuing basis of the total commitment that Frank Harkavy had to Tender-Mercies, Harkavy Hall. It took a huge number of people to pull this project together. I want to thank our board for their commitment to providing our residents a home where they can live with more dignity and safety. 3 board members in particular have worked their lives on the project for the last year. Roger Robinson of Avila Architects is here somewhere. Robert Loneman. Robert Loneman of Coors Loneman Heil Engineers. I can never get that quite right. He's done the engineering work on it. And Joe Feldhaus of Beckman Weil Shepardson. And we owe them a huge set of gratitude. I would also like to thank those residents whose homes were temporarily disrupted by having to move to other Tender-Mercies buildings. And I'd like to thank the volunteers who had to be reorganized to serve meals and have activities in different places. I'd like to thank the staff who had to coordinate the slow downsizing to empty the building without displacing any residents outside the Tender-Mercies community. Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing, our equity partner, shepherded us through the tax credit application process. I'm sure many people at OCCH had a part in it, but Brian Langmeyer and Beth Long worked particularly hard to make sure they did everything right, and their assistance was absolutely critical to the success of the application. I have to thank them with all my heart. Even though they haven't started work yet, Brian and Michael Slepper of Pilot Construction, our general contractor, were deeply involved in assisting us for the last year. I've never had them say no, even to gold shovels, when I needed something, and I really want to thank them for their help too. I'm looking forward to the construction start. There are other housing developers like Model Management and OTR Community Housing that provided me contacts to get specific tasks done that I had no idea where to start. And I really appreciate their help, considering we're all in developing affordable housing in the area, and the cooperation was just incredible. I really appreciate that. And a whole host of other community partners provided letters of support for our project to include 3CDC, the Over-the-Rhine Community Council, and the City of Cincinnati. We actually got a resolution from the City of Cincinnati, thanks to David Crowley. Our funding partners, without whom this would not have been possible, include OCCH Ohio Equity Fund for Housing 17, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, National City Bank, and the Manuel D. and Rhoda Mayerson Foundation. I have to thank them for their commitment to the project. In the case of Mayerson, they committed over a year ago, and they're still waiting to give us a check. We need to start construction. Okay. Continuing operating support for Harkavy Hall is supplied in part by the United Way of Greater Cincinnati and the City of Cincinnati, and I thank them for that continuing support. I think most of you already know our first speaker. I had the pleasure of being on the same board with him years ago and recognizing what a bright, interesting person he was. Born and raised in Cincinnati, he's an owner of KGL Media Group SES Communications, which publishes the Cincinnati Herald, the Dayton Defender, and a regional newspaper. A Dartmouth College graduate and a graduate of the UC College of Law, he is a former partner at Cohen Todd Kite in Stanford and an attorney at Strauss and Schroy. Excuse me. You probably know him now as Ohio Senator Eric Kearney. Eric?
Well, this is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful day. we've got a beautiful springtime day in Cincinnati, and as the seasons are transforming, so is the neighborhood, and Harkavy Hall is just one example of that. I used to live in Over the Rhine, and I could never imagine what I'm seeing going on in Over the Rhine now. This is absolutely wonderful as we're getting people from all walks of life to come together. We're building affordable housing, and we're building a community that's open to our social service agencies and to people who are less fortunate than ourselves. And that mixing together is going to make a beautiful Over the Rhine and a beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. The state of Ohio participated in this project in some small part, but it's Bryn's Vision who is leading Tender-Mercies and does an absolutely fabulous job. And I've known him for 20 years now. Yeah, it's been 20 years. And I don't show it, of course, but and it's just wonderful, the leadership and the skills that he's brought here to Tender-Mercies, and I'm just very pleased about that. So, the Ohio Senate has certain honors that they bestow, and one of them is on Tender-Mercies today on its renovation of Harkavy Hall. There's a whole bunch of words here and letters, but I'm going to concentrate on one part. Over the years, Tender-Mercies has enhanced the quality of life within the surrounding area, and it is truly deserving of high praise. We are certain that as this worthy establishment maintains its dedication to service, it will continue to grow and prosper and will follow in the tradition of excellence that has become its hallmark. So, Bryn, come on up and get it. And congratulations.
Our next speaker will be Brian Langmeyer from Ohio Capital Corporation.